Now we're going to talk about what we can do about this. So what can you do? You have employees with personal and professional accounts. We really can't keep third-party breaches from happening because you can't control the network or the security of another company. But there are some things that we can do to try and set up best practices and protect ourselves. The first thing we're going to talk about, I'm sure you've heard it before. This won't be the last time you'll hear it either. And I know that it's something that we all kind of scoff at, but we must make sure that we are creating the strongest passwords possible for ourselves. And then we need to make sure that the staff at the business are doing the same. So what that's going to look like is it's going to mean on average, you need to make sure your passwords are at least 8 characters in length, if not longer. You want to make sure that they have a mixture of upper and lowercase letters. You want to make sure that they're using symbols. We would recommend more than just one. You want to make sure there's numbers in there. We also want to make sure that they are not using anything personal, things like names of children, names of pets, places that we've lived, anything like that, even your favorite sports team. You don't want to use anything that's guessable in that way. We want to make sure they're always unique. And I'm going to circle back. I understand that's difficult. Imagine you have 130 different passwords. How are you going to make sure that they're unique? It's a problem, right? We've got an answer. But also we want to make sure that they're random if possible. You don't want to be able to read them. You don't want to be able to make sense of them because the less they make sense, the stronger they are and the more difficult they will be to crack. So that's something that you want to do both personally and professionally. But when we're talking about the business and something that you can do, we want to make sure that we're creating a password management policy if we don't already have one in place, okay? So what that's going to be, and we're going to build that on 4 key tenets, really. So the first is going to be, going back to the previous slide, we want to make sure that we're setting standards at the business for all passwords. So any staff member, any account that they're creating, they need to understand, listen, at Andromeda, we require that the passwords are this long and they've got this many characters and X, Y, and Z. We want to make sure that we're setting standards for that password strength. Second, we're going to mandate that passwords are changed regularly. Now, on average, we would recommend, and this is our standard recommendation, that you should make sure that your employees are changing all passwords at a minimum of every 90 days. That's a sweet spot number. It's not quite too often, and it doesn't allow you to be negligent either. The third thing is we're going to set up a lockout procedure for invalid attempts. This is something that you've probably seen in your own day-to-day and you've even maybe been annoyed by, but when you're trying to log into an account online and maybe you forgot your password or something of that nature and you've tried a couple times and it locks you out, that's a lockout procedure. And while it's annoying, it's a great tool and it's going to help and defend you against somebody who shouldn't be accessing an account, but it'll also defend you against those brute force hack attacks where somebody is just literally sitting there trying password after password after password to try and break into the account that they're trying to get into. Then the fourth and final thing that I'm going to recommend for a password management policy is going to be implementing some type of a password management solution at the business. A password manager is going to help you take care of most all of these situations with password strength and needing to remember them and those types of things, but it's also going to add another layer of security. So with that, in my invitations, I promised I would share a good tool with you guys. So a tool that we recommend at Andromeda and that our staff uses as well, myself included, is going to be LastPass. And LastPass is a password management tool with both free and paid options available to you. It's called a password manager. And the way that works is essentially it's going to give you, it's a vault, if you will. It's going to house all of your different passwords across all of the different accounts. And it's also going to help you make sure that they're encrypted, that they're secure, and that they're maintained well. So with that being the vault concept here, the way that you access or the way that you're able to get into your LastPass account is with what's called a master password. And so the master password becomes the most important thing that you have to be able to remember or have access to. So the number one thing I'm going to make sure that we say here with recommending a password management tool is that you have to make sure that you protect the security of your master password. It should be very long. I mean, I would recommend at a minimum 20 characters. It should be a jumbled up mess of characters and numbers and uppercase and lowercase. And then additionally, we're going to want to make sure that we're protecting it physically. Carl Utz, our sales director, he always says, and this is true, he keeps his master password for his LastPass account in his safe in his house. These are not supposed to be located on a Post-it note. We don't have them on our desktop. We don't have them in our desk. We have to make sure that we're really, really taking care of the security of the master password, because as soon as somebody gets access to that, they've got everything. But I'm going to take you through a couple neat features that LastPass has that I think are pretty valuable. It has a great cell phone application that I use almost every day. It's pretty neat. So I have an iPhone, so I scan my thumb and then it takes me in and it'll put my passwords into my applications, which is very helpful. It also has a great integration into your web browser, which again, pretty much the same idea. You log in and then it'll help you log into things. So I kind of grabbed a snip here to show you guys. One of the other neat things that LastPass is able to do for you is it can actually help you and your staff create and generate secure passwords. So I took a little snip here. The little red box at the top right of the corner is the button for LastPass with those 3 dots. And when that's lit up, it means that I'm logged in and it's working. But if I click that, I can click the option for generate a secure password and this window shows up. So this is really neat. I can tell it how long I want my password to be. I can tell it that, you can see here, I said I don't want it to be easy to say. I don't want it to be easy to read. I do want it to use all characters because that's going to be the most secure option to choose. And then I chose on the right, you can see it's using uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, all of it. So that's a fantastic tool, and you can actually see right there the password it generated for me. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't read that, and I know I certainly wouldn't remember it. So I have a feeling that a criminal would have a hard time guessing at that one. Another really neat feature that I make use of a lot at the office for this password management tool, and I know that this is something that we do day to day here, is that LastPass allows you to securely share your passwords with your coworkers. So there are times where we all need to use the same account and maybe we're sharing passwords or something of that nature, and we know that's not a good practice to be engaging in. For instance, for myself, I need to get into our marketing applications to help set things up for the sales team, and instead of having, let's say Carl, for instance, instead of having him give me his password, he shares his password with me via link or via LastPass. That way I never see it. And then anytime he updates it to our standard every 90 days, it's going to automate that for me. So again, I mean, LastPass is fantastic. In case you can't tell, I'm a firm believer in it. We all believe in it at Andromeda, and we definitely recommend its use.